Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did, and it's finally here. That batshit trailer that came out a few weeks back, Fatman, starring Mel Gibson and Walton Goggins, has finally dropped the movie on digital VOD. And so I'm going to give you my thoughts and my review right after the jump. Real quick, if you haven't already, go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. So, if you were living on a rock and you didn't see this just insane trailer that came out a few weeks ago, Fat Man is about Santa Claus, played by Mel Gibson, a very weird and unorthodox Santa Claus, played by Mel Gibson, who must fight off against an assassin that was hired to kill him for giving the kid who hires him a bad Christmas gift. This film feels like an SNL skit, and if you watch the trailer, that's what a lot of people said. It's like, oh yeah, this reminds me a lot of an SNL skit. This movie feels like an SNL skit, and like an SNL skit, uh, especially the majority of them in the last couple of decades, they just go on for too long. They don't quite know how to stick the landing. They don't really kind of know how to get there. And unfortunately, what should be like a 30-second or 40-second sketch, in this case, a 20-minute film, goes on for an hour and a half. You start seeing the wires and tearing, and it just feels like we're going more through we're going through a film more to get to the last 15 minutes that we're all actually here for than all the setup of this movie. I feel like these directors and writers and all of that think that they are a lot more clever, inventive, ingenious than they actually are, or that they actually have presented to us on the screen. We take a very somber and serious tone and approach to Christmas and Santa Claus, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. I think when you try to take that tone and then explain some of the magic that happens with Santa's workshop and showing elves and all that, there's a weird, jarring uh, connection that does not quite happen or work between the two. Um, if you're going to show us how magical and whatnot Santa's is, you can't put it in the form of a Zack Snyder like super dark, somber, um, monochrome type of film. It just doesn't work. And then take us through. This movie is about an hour. It's about an hour and a half long, but spend about an hour of that hour of 10 of it doing setup. Well, the film is called Fat Man, clearly about Santa. Walton Goggins is the lead. We spend the majority of the film with him. Starts off with the kid who actually has a lot of issues going on in himself. We get about 15 minutes of that setup. Then we get about a good 30 minutes of Walter Goggins going through the motions of trying to find and hunt down Santa. And then we get the actual show off with little scenes here and there showing how Santa's magic has deadened a little bit inside of himself because of the superficialness of what Christmas has become. Walton Goggins is what is here, what this whole film tracks through, and he's fine. I just don't think that this movie gives he nor Mel nor the kid a lot to do, and we get a film that is essentially all set up to a payoff that I think is really well done. I love the actual back and forth between Fat Man and Walton Goggins' character when we finally get there. It's just a long and arduous task to do so. And I get what the point of this film is trying to do. This film is trying to show that the wrong lessons of Christmas can lead down a very dark and arduous path. And how selfishness and greed can corrupt anyone to do something that is amoral or immoral, and even has someone who is as pure as Santa questioning their own thoughts and beliefs. Uh, it's just not a very fun or entertaining film. I don't have a problem with being this dark because I think Bad Sam is a dark comedy. Scrooged, I absolutely adore. But I think if you're gonna do a comedy like this, there has to be some sort of fun or entertaining factor in it. You can't give me a somber, melancholy, dark film and also not do anything that is very entertaining because it becomes sort of a slog to get to the point. And I don't think that's what these folks were trying to do with Fatman. I also think because, like I said earlier, Walton Goggins is the main person of this film. It's very rare that a film that puts the villain as the focal point actually works. Um, and so we spend so much time with Walton Goggins and so much time learning about him and what he's gone through and why he's doing what he's doing that when the eventual outcome of this film occurs, you're kind of just like, well, then why did I just slog through all of this if the person who I am most invested in gets their comeuppance, and now I don't have that focal point anymore, and now I don't really know what the overall theme or point of this process was. And it sucks. So on that scale of once is enough, play it again, Sam, or give me a time stone so I never have to see this again. I don't think this is a terrible movie where I'm going to put it in that category. It's like I never need to see this again, but once is enough. I don't think no, let me rephrase that. I know that I will never go back to this film again. If anything that I ever go back to for this movie, I think the best thing that has come from this entire film is the trailer, which when you really boil this film down, if you take the last 20 minutes and sprinkle in about a good 5 minutes of everything before that, boil that down to a good 2 minute trailer, and that's what we got, and that's why the trailer for Fatman is infinitely better than the entire hour and a half of film. Those are my thoughts. What did you guys think about Fatman? Did you watch it? Go ahead and leave your comments in the comments below. If you haven't, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI, or you can hit us up with an email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there, sort of on a hiatus because there's really films don't exist and there's no show in 2020. But we have an entire back catalog, and I think we'll start getting that motion going back up as things start moving and picking back up with 2021. But we also have a sister podcast called You Can't Do That Anymore that talks about all the classic films like American Beauty, Tropic Thunder, Weird Science, and sort of looks at those films and what they did then to see if they can do some of those things in current day. Sadly, this film didn't quite live up to the expectations of the trailer, but can't win them all. Like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.